All right, so we're good to go. You're all set on your end?
Yeah, let me take one bite of this bar and then I'll be solid.
All right, you bite that bar. You bite that bar good. Wrong show.
Yeah. Taco.
Let's do it.
Chew. When these dads meet world, watching Boy Meets World. We grew up on the show, now we have kids and host a podcast. We watch each episode and then share our thoughts and grades. When these dads meet world.
They want you to take the roles.
They do. They want you to take the roles. And the Cinnabons as well, Brett.
Yes.
Welcome back, good-looking people, to Dad's Meet World, your weekly step-by-step deep dive into that classic 90s show known as Boy Meets World. I am one of your dads, Tyler, joined by...
the pooper scooper, Brett, your other dad.
Very nice, Brett. Brett, how are you? What's new? What's going on?
I am well. We just had the final band concerts of the school year tonight. So I was got to enjoy 4 concert bands and 2 jazz bands tonight for a couple hours.
Nice.
Lots of good stuff. Yeah. And by the way, good looking people, if you know the song Coconut Champagne, that was played live tonight, and they did very well. If you don't know
it's
it,
on my Spotify playlist.
yes, if you don't know it, go look it up. You'll probably recognize it. But no, so Abby and Toby had their final band concerts tonight. Well, Abby had her final. Toby's band, his concert band, has state contests on Friday, so
Nice.
They have one more performance. But yeah, so we got to do that. Got to hang out with my parents, and Abby and Kelly and Asher in the crowd watching, and so yeah, that was a lot of good time. So that was my entire evening after some Dairy Queen in the car. How are you doing?
Ooh. I don't know if you said me, but I'll go ahead and go next.
I did. I think I said it while you were making your own noise in your head.
I was sniffling. Sorry. Sorry. So anywho, no, I'm doing okay. I think I'm finally healthy, so that's nice. Can't say the same for my poor pregnant wife, unfortunately. She's hurting today, poor girl. She's a trooper, she's fighting. I keep trying to tell her, listen, you have exactly what I have, except you also have a baby inside of you, so it's going to be worse.
Yes.
She's like, I don't want to complain. I'm like, you can complain to me. It's all I'm here for. That's all I can do for you right now is just listen to you complain about this. So
I think that's the first time you've mentioned that on this podcast.
Have I?
Yeah.
Oh.
You haven't mentioned that, yeah.
All right, let's go behind the curtain for just a moment there, good looking people. We are attempting to do the classic podcast thing where we record a little bit ahead of time because within a few weeks of this coming out, there should be a new baby Volk at our household. So yeah, we're trying to thank you. We're trying to get ahead of it a little bit. Because if we don't, we dealt with the last time this podcast had a new baby, which is constantly the baby was coming. I was holding him while I was trying the podcast, but we were not doing recordings like video recordings at the time. So
yes,
yes. So and it went so well last time we recorded, and having Henry making plenty of noise for us. So yes, I guess that's a good thing for us to talk about. So it's good. Excuse me. It's gonna be a girl. So I'm excited. We were actually talking with a nurse the other day, and they had asked like, "Oh, you having a boy or girl?" And we go, "Oh, we're having a girl." And I went, "Oh," and I just think of stuff like, is that just the preconceived no matter what? Is it boy or girl? Oh, boy. Oh, girl. Oh. And it's like, is that it's just no matter what it's gonna be, it's just people are excited because people are having babies.
We're
Like
having a dump truck.
that's all I'm thinking about. I mean, like, regardless, like whether boy, girl, whatever, they choose to be eventually, every single child is a monster. They make plenty of mess. There's no way around it. There's no organizing the house. There's just chaos is
Hmm.
everywhere. So it doesn't matter what you have. Like they're gonna be a monster of I don't want to clean my room. I don't want to do the dishes. I don't want to take out the garbage. It's going to be a fight for the next 18 years, no matter what I do, and probably beyond that. So,
Yes, and as some wisdom I saw just today online, one kid is one kid. 2 kids are 5 kids. 3 kids are 953,728 kids, 8 hurricanes, and a donkey.
fair. No, okay, let's be real for a moment. I thought I knew parenting when we just had Grayson. I thought we're doing so great with him. Gosh, we need to have another. And we unfortunately lost another baby, our second baby, and we got pregnant with our third, and we were so excited. We're like, great, you know, we're gonna get through this, like we got this, and just this second baby, second living baby for us, has already thrown our life into chaos, and having this third one so quickly after having the other one, because we will technically have 2 under 2.
That's always
Who,
fun.
yeah, so we've been podcasting longer, Brett, than I've had multiple children physically at my house. So
That's right. That's very true.
yes, because we were together physically whenever we were podcasting the one time, and I was trying to talk about
Mhm.
Waldemir going, and Sarah's like, "I'm pregnant. I can't go to Waldemir."
Yep, I remember that.
Memory lanes, Brett. Memory lanes.
Ah, yes.
Should we get into this episode of mass
I think
chaos and
we should.
confusion?
Yes, I think we should. Good looking people, we're going to look at the 11th episode of season 4, An Affair to Forget. Shawn is in shock when his girlfriend, Jennifer, dumps him. To try to help him, Cory starts bad mouthing Jennifer to Shawn. But when Jennifer finds out about this, she agrees to make up with Shawn as long as he and Cory end their friendship. Meanwhile, Eric gets the acting bug and wants to tell his life story on stage. This episode was written by, it's actually story by Eileen O'Hare and teleplay by Jeff C. Sherman.
Interesting.
Good looking people. If you're not familiar with how writing TV and movies goes, a lot of times you'll see a story by credit and a teleplay credit for TV writers. Story credit could be someone who wrote a spec script or someone who just came up with the basic plot. And then they had someone like Jeff who was in the writer's room, really hash it out and come up with the official script that they used. But someone else came up with enough of the idea behind it that they can't just say Jeff wrote it. So they give them both credit. Directed by Jeff McCracken. Originally aired November 29th, 1996. Currently enjoys an IMDb rating of 8.2. Now, last week, our episode pulled in 15.6 million viewers. Tyler, what do you think at the end of Sweeps Month in 1996, An Affair to Forget pulled in?
I have to assume, based on trends from last year, I went down a little bit. So let's say 16.
You think down is up to 16?
What was it last week?
15.6.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought it was 18. Wow, my brain is not working right this moment. So let's go with 13.9.
Well, you're not too far off. It did go down to 12.4 million. So we
further
lost.
than I thought.
We lost 3. Yeah, we lost 3 million viewers in a week. This is actually the 5th lowest viewed episode of the season, first run.
I mean, there's no big guest stars in it.
Yeah,
I
I mean
get it.
there's no stunt casting. It's at the end of sweeps month. There's nothing earth-shattering about the storyline that's like this week on a special
Yeah.
episode type of thing. So I mean it's a fairly run-of-the-mill Boy Meets World type of episode. So it's not surprising that they didn't put a whole lot of weight behind advertising, hey, the Monkees reunion
You
or
kind
something
of
like that.
got a feeling, though, just the way that's placed here, especially with the last 2 episodes having guest stars. I almost wonder if the initial desire was to have Jennifer be like a famous actress, to be like a one-off, come in, dump Shawn, and maybe they just couldn't find someone for that was big enough to have that draw, so they just said, let's go with not just anyone, but just let's pick, the best person for it at this point. Because I mean, she's only here for this episode, one episode in the future, and then for some reason they bring her back for Girl Meets World. But um, actually, I think she's in more episodes in Girl Meets World than she is for Boy Meets World. But um, I mean, the I don't know the actress's name, and I know we'll talk about her, but she does a great job.
Yes, she does.
Yeah, none of that is surprising. So I guess let's get into it, Brett.
All right, take it away.
So we start off, and we're at the John Adams High, and Topanga notices that Shawn's girlfriend is getting talked to by a bunch of boys, and she doesn't understand why. And we learn that Shawn and his girlfriend Jennifer, apparently they broke up. Apparently they started dating off screen, and they broke up off screen, and it's literally just happened. And of course, Cory
Yep.
is Shawn's best friend, and he says nothing could get him down. He's Shawn. Everything's good. Get up, Shawn. Pan down to Shawn peeing on the crowd. It's one of the best jokes the show does in all of the years.
I do love it.
Nothing can get him down.
I
Get
love
up.
it. Yeah. Get up.
Shawn's just sitting there. She dumped me. She dumped me good.
She dumped me good. And Topanga, I like Topanga's thoughts on Jennifer. She's pretty. She's tall. She drives a new red convertible. Oh heck, I'd go out with her.
I mean, that is fair, and I feel this is also my theory on the backstage of they probably wanted to have someone of even a girl would question in the 90s, But again, nothing against the actress that's playing her. She's just get into who she is, Brett, because I'm gonna go crazy if we keep.
Yes, I was
dancing
just
around
about
it.
to say. Jennifer Bassett is played by Kristana Loken. Kristana, I believe it's Kristana Loken. This is the first of 2 times we'll see her on Boy Meets World. She'll also show up next season in First Girlfriends Club. 55 acting credits to her name, including Law and Order, Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman, Star Trek Voyager, Sliders, Pacific Blue. Her first real big break was in Terminator 3. She's the female Terminator. Also a big break for her Blood Rain. Painkiller Jane, The L Word, Burn Notice, Key and Peele. She also does show up just one episode of Girl Meets World as the same character.
Oh, I thought there was another one. Oh, wow.
Yeah, according to IMDb, it is just one episode of Girl Meets World in season 2, Girl Meets Farkle.
That's fair. It is a great episode.
Yes, good-looking people. Jennifer Bassett winds up marrying Minkus.
Yeah, but he's rich whenever they get married.
And giving birth to Farkle. Yeah. Yes. Jennifer, in the world of Boy Meets World, Jennifer goes from Shawn to Minkus eventually.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll have thoughts later on when we get to Girl Meets World, I guess. Yeah, so again, there's nothing against this actress. I think she does a terrific job. Her role is to be the mean girl. Why Shawn dates her to begin with? I don't know.
Well, she's pretty. She's tall. She drives a red
Yeah,
convertible.
I guess so. There's just, I think that,
Shawn's a himbo. He has been for 2
yeah,
seasons.
I guess part of my problem is we have 22 episodes we have to fill every single season. So
Mhm.
Shawn and Eric have to play a certain role, and they cannot have the stability that Cory has. And Cory has to freak out and be neurotic. We're hitting that stride right now where Eric has to have some form of an identity crisis. Shawn has to be dealing with the fact that he's trying to be better, and Cory just wants everything to be perfect all the time and can't have it be perfect. And Topanga is there.
Yes. She really has just fallen to the I'm
Yes,
here
this
at
is
this point
Boy
this
Meets
season.
World from now until the end. But
And
eventually we'll get more friends for
yeah,
everybody to also be there.
yes. With maybe one episode a season where they really get to shine.
Yes, except for Rachel. We'll get to
Yeah.
her later. So Cory makes a really dumb move. Cory tries to uplift Shawn by talking down about his ex-girlfriend. Good-looking people
Mhm.
don't ever do this.
Especially right away
Right,
after a breakup.
because like after someone breaks up, unless you're already friends before this and you can agree to still be friends, you should never talk to that person ever again. Because Cory tries to build him up saying, this girl is fake and, how she's horrible and she's mean and her nose is fake. And he's like, yeah, yeah. And he goes to tell her what's what. And in that process, they
Yeah.
get back together.
This was totally not what Cory was trying to build Shawn up
Yes.
for.
And he says, and something about your nose. She's like, what about my nose? And he looks directly at Cory.
He sells him out.
Um,
I love that escalating
mhm.
Did Cory say that? It's kind of like Cory's trademark.
Mhm.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. And she immediately
Oh, her face changes. You
yes,
see it in
there is
her
an
eyes.
evil
She gets
you know
vindictive.
how when a cat finds a mouse and the cat could easily kill
I
the
do.
mouse, except why? Play with
It
it.
just wants to
Let
play
it
with it a
scurry
little.
and just kind of whack at it.
Bat it around. Yeah.
Um,
Pick it up and
yeah,
throw it
so
at my
that's
butt.
the face she makes, and Shawn is her little mouse. And she wants to
Mm-hmm.
play with the mouse as long as she possibly can.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. Um
One kiss and Shawn is selling out
I
Cory's
will
Nana.
say because Sarah and I were watching this episode together, I'm like, gosh, I can't believe just one kiss is enough to really send Shawn over the edge. She goes, all I have to do is kiss you to get you to do whatever I want. I said, really? She goes, no, not anymore. She goes, but she goes, yeah,
But there
just
was a
think back when you were
time.
a dumb teenage boy. I said, fair.
Yes, I mean it's very true. I mean it's as funny as it is. It's also
Yep.
true to life.
I mean, we have seen Alan be revived by sister Amy.
Up, I'm up,
Hallelujah, I'm
I'm healed,
healed.
I'm walking. Hallelujah, Sister Amy.
Yes.
Yep.
I just
Just like that,
yeah,
Shawn and
just like
Jennifer are
that,
back
they're
together.
back together. I think it's not. Yeah. So they go to Chubby's where Cory and Shawn are trying to talk out what's going on, and Cory is quite concerned for Shawn, and how does he refer to her? calls her the Zarthrak
Zarthrak
the
the
Undead. I do have
Undead.
a fun fact about that, by the way. I think you'll be quite happy about that, Brett.
Ah, yes.
Yes, refers to Zarthrak the
Okay.
Undead, and classic Boy Meets World moment. She immediately is right behind him.
She's right behind me, isn't she?
All hail Zarthrak.
Great moment.
And Jennifer has Shawn go over to another booth, literally the booth right behind them, and convinces him that there needs to be a change.
Convinces. For those just listening, air quotes around
I love how they
convinces.
show the two of them going out of camera kissing, and then all you hear is Shawn saying, "Cory, can I talk with you?" Cory's like, "This must be good news."
Oh, maybe something good for me. And as humorous as this is, there is a part of me that is disappointed because on the one hand, it speaks to Shawn's shallow hormone-driven side, which we've already commented on. Every teenage boy is going to be driven by. On the other hand, it turns him into little more than just a himbo who's easily manipulated into throwing away a lifelong friendship in exchange for a girl he dated for, what, 2 weeks?
Probably 2 weeks.
Just because she's willing to make out with him.
Yeah, I mean, and that's okay. That might be my biggest issue with Shawn's whole convinced just by kissing, because at this point we know that Shawn has kissed almost every girl in their class. Right.
Half the school.
Like, a date for Shawn is making out. We've established that. That is canon for Dads Meet World.
Yeah. He had what? 12 dates in one weekend
at least 6.
Point, was it?
And that might have been a slow day.
Yes, at least 6.
So I just it's slight bothersome that someone as quote unquote cool as Shawn and as active as Shawn is in the making out scene, that a little bit of kissing from a beautiful girl is enough to, I mean, maybe it's just been a while since he's been in the kissing game and now he's really in high school, not as easy.
It does. It may also show a little bit of the fact that he is mourning the loss of the relationship, though. It may show a little bit of emotional growth in him, that he did grow a connection that he doesn't normally experience there. And we might see just a little bit of that. But even then, he's willing to put that first ahead of a lifelong friendship with Cory, who has been there day in and day out through everything, that they have both been there for everything, even through the tough spots we've seen on camera. I'm not a big fan of that being a 2-week relationship being the one that sticks between them. I can see it happening in real life. I don't like that. That's the wedge here.
I do love that it cuts to a different scene in Chubby's where it's just Topanga saying, "Get up, Cory. He dumped me. He dumped me good.
He dumped me. He dumped
I
me
love
good."
when the show does those poetic moments.
Yes, it's a beautiful book.
We transitioned Brett to the Matthews household. We finally have a real scene with Eric, Alan, and Amy that has nothing to do with.
It has been.
It really has. It's been so long since we've seen this relationship that doesn't have to do with them wanting to leave the trailer park. Gosh. Well, also, I think the last time we saw them was when Eric was giving him advice because he was striking out with Topanga while Shawn was rounding third. Yeah,
I think that might have been it. Up in the Shawn's rounding the bases while you're just up in the stands chucking peanuts.
It could be anything. He's in high school. Yes, but Eric's in the kitchen and Alan and Amy walk in and he says, "It's 11 o'clock. I've been worried sick. Feeney's looking for you. I called the police." "Really?" "No, I didn't even know you're gone."
I didn't. Yeah.
But
Great little
Amy
banner.
and
I
Alan
love
were
it.
at the
It's good
theater.
stuff.
They were actually seeing a one woman show. I really wanted to
Mhm.
text you to be like, can you have the moment from Friends when Chandler is stuck at the one woman show?
Why don't you like me? Oh, good looking people. I'm sure you can find that on YouTube. Just search Chandler being one woman show.
It's probably one
It's
of my favorite
classic.
jokes from that show because it's so perfect. Like she's looking right at Chandler, and this might be when he becomes more sensitive towards women.
It
He
might be because he
does.
stays for the whole show.
I just feel like we're forgetting something. But yes, this is a one woman show where they talk. She just shares her life story, and they said it's really exhilarating and wonderful, and it was a really good show. And I have to say, I've never been physically to a one person show, but I have seen some like tapings of people doing one person shows, and they can be kind of similar sometimes to, like, say, like a comedy special, but like Billy Crystal has one. It's on Max it's spectacular. It kind of just goes through, him growing up as a kid and throwing in a bunch of jokes, but at the end of the day, it's his story of his relationship with his father and um, what that meant to him growing up. So
Yeah, I would put Christopher Titus's Norman Rockwell is Bleeding in the category of a one man show. I mean, it is a comedy special, but it is not a traditional comedy special in the sense that it's a bunch of series of jokes. It is very much telling the story of him, his father, and a lot of his life through high school and those relationships that
is that the one
really
you showed
made
me?
him into who he is today.
I remember you showing me something, and I've been
Probably
trying to find who the Yes, I remember the
has a
guy
big
sitting and
wooden
smoking.
chair in the middle of the stage. Yes. uh I showed you the show I showed you some episodes or clips from the show that was
Could be.
actually based off of
All
that
I know is
special. Yes.
you said, "Hey, there's some inappropriate stuff
Titus.
in this, but I
Yes.
think you'll like it." So I said, "Okay."
Yeah. But yeah, the special that he had a series that ran for 3 seasons on Fox that was based off the content in this stand-up
Yep.
in
Good
this
looking
hour and a
people.
half
If you guys
special.
listen to us who
So
are also in ministry or who deal with relationships between adults and older and yeah, adults and students, um, as a student gets older, you can start making dangerous decisions like on a missions trip watching a rated R movie because you know that said student is old enough to watch it with you. So just saying,
very
there's a
true.
weird trust that can grow eventually, and you can get away with some things.
Yeah. Well, I mean, get away sounds
It's something you
so
wouldn't have done when we first met, is all I'm saying.
Oh, no. There has to be a bond built there. Yeah. So Eric
Yeah,
finds out
30
that
bucks
it's
a
30
ticket. That's
bucks a ticket.
ridiculous, he thinks. And
It's like in a theater that holds 300 people, that's like 300 times 30.
yes.
Oh, Eric.
Yeah.
Eric is on
That's the
point
thing.
this episode.
Uh, I don't know how to feel about the Eric storyline this episode because the whole it's bonkers
It's pure dumb
and the
Eric
bits
is
are
what it is.
hilarious, but the fact that this inspires him to write about his own story, good looking people at 18, you don't have a story yet unless you've really gone through something traumatic and you've been able to process through that traumaticness.
Yes, but Eric's
Yes,
motivation is
which is not a
entirely the
good reason to do a
cash.
story.
I mean, Yeah, his motivation is the dollar signs. The story for him is secondary because he views it as just one woman standing on a
Yes.
stage complaining
One
about
woman
her life
saying, "Why don't you
for 3
love
hours.
me? Why do you hate me?"
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah.
I love how Corey ends up finding him, and he's just typing away, and he's just like, "What's this?" Like, "Oh, I wrote a play. What's it about? It's about me." Well, who's gonna care about that? Oh, they'll care. They'll care because I'm a human. I'm a human life.
Look at me, a one-woman show.
Yes. Well, the phone rings, and Eric's quite concerned because there is no Dory here. And Corey says, "Oh, nope, that's for me." And it goes to a split screen, and it's like, "Shawn, you mean Dawn? I told you call me Dawn. Why? Is Jennifer there? You mean Dinnifer?"
Yes. Oh, yeah. The classic Jennifer. The classic
Yes. I
star-crossed
will
secret
say
lovers
Dinnifer
phone
reminds
call.
me of Tinnifer from Parks and Rec. Yes, but she's
Yes.
at the mall apparently, so they shouldn't have anything to worry about, although they're in a secret conversation of friendship, so clearly they have to still be worried.
Yes. Which as much as it bugs me that this is the wedge that drives between them, I do like that Shawn
Yeah.
still wants the friendship to be
Uh,
there and is still committed to it.
let's just be real for a moment, Brett. This is not one of our favorites in the realm of well-written episodes. But gosh, there's just so many funny things in this episode.
This is not one that is for me. This is not one that I love for the story or for what it might teach. This
Yeah.
is one that
It's
I
it's a
like for the
hilarious
comedy
episode. There's
bits
no
that
way
come out
around
of it.
it. And it both pays homage to
Oh
other
yeah.
jokes that we've seen. It helps set up other jokes for the future. Like it fits so well, but it is all just it's dumb. It's dumb fun this episode.
It is dumb humor at its finest, and that's why I said Eric's on point. This is
Yes.
pure
And
dumb
so,
Eric at its best at
Corey
his
is trying to
best.
talk to Shawn, and Shawn isn't talking because he's just enjoying hearing his voice and thinking about the good old days. Yes.
All that
I
wistful
gotta see
longing
you.
conversation
No,
on the telephone
that's
is just
impossible.
hilarious.
Because of her?
And especially that last look, that longing look where they
Yes.
both start to hang up and then come back
I will not be
and then hang
ignored.
up.
Yes.
And then of course
I
Eric's
want my own
classic,
room.
I want my own room.
Now, and I think this might be a good point, Brett, to say that there's clear homophobia jokes within this episode.
Yes, there are. And yes, they may not age well, but in the 90s, they were ripe, low-hanging fruit, and we laughed at them. And here,
Yeah.
30 years
I
later,
will
you
say
can
I
hear us. We are
find
still laughing at them.
his joke because of just the conversation making him uncomfortable. Like, I'm hearing your end. I'm not hearing the other end, but I
Yeah.
don't want to hear that end. And this is how brothers are in general of you do one thing to your brother, it annoys him and goes, I don't want to deal with you anymore.
Yes.
Yeah. I want my own room.
This is just the last straw for Eric.
Well, you're welcome to build one now, Eric.
You're too weird now. Go sell your play tickets. Build your own.
So we go to, for the first time ever, the John Adams High Library, which I don't know about you,
Yes.
Brett, but for the first time,
Yeah.
I was looking, I'm like,
It
this
looks a
is
lot
literally
like
just
Turner's
Turner's
classroom.
room. Like, that's all it is. It is literally Turner's room. Yes. I was like,
With a
this
few
is
stacks
just
of
dumb.
books.
Like, this is ridiculous.
But kudos to them for not just using a random
That's
classroom,
very
for
true.
actually
I mean,
having a
they do
library where
a
they can read
great bit
in.
of Jennifer trying to look around to catch Cory, and he's moving his head all over the place, and it works.
Yes.
Yes, but
It's great
they're
physical comedy. Yes.
okay. So we
Yeah.
get to the
Which I have a
library.
clip of. We'll get to it in a minute, I'm sure.
Apparently, Shawn has never come to the library before. I think Cory has, but only because of
No surprise
Topanga's
there.
influence. But Jennifer is also there, apparently.
Probably.
And she's quite excited that he's there. And she's wondering who's this Cinnabon for. And Shawn says, well, you, of course. And she goes, but there's a little blue bow and a C on it.
Well, see, it's for you.
And
You're
Topanga
here.
walks by and has kind of a catty exchange with Jennifer.
Yeah, Jennifer, Topanga.
Yeah, that's the nice girl,
Yeah.
don't want to talk to you. Hi.
Yeah, that's the
Yes,
I'm
there's
gonna
a
be
whole bunch
nice
of
to
reality
you, and
shows
that's it.
based on that on Peacock right now if you'd like to explore more of those type of hellos. They start and end with all of the Real Housewives. So yes.
Yeah,
Listen,
I'm
I
probably
love my
better off
trashy
never
reality TV
watching any of
shows.
those.
I don't get into Real Housewives. I can't do that drama. It's the rich and famous people that I'm like, I don't want to know anything
Oh,
about
no.
you guys. You already make money. Let me hear from the poor people.
Yeah.
Sorry, let me hear from my people.
I'm here from my kind of people.
Oh my gosh, this you could clearly edit this out of the podcast, but I
There you go.
literally right before you said, "Hey, I'm ready," I think I was on Facebook Reels, just going through stuff, whether it's TikTok, YouTube, whatever. I'm always finding something to watch. And there was a guy who was like, "Let's just say you're struggling, and a friend needs $10,000. Do you give the $10,000? Blah blah blah." And it switches to someone else going, you're struggling and you have $10,000? But you're struggling and you have $10,000? He's like, I am poor. Like, I am so poor.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, I feel that.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Yeah, we come from
It's a real struggle
different
right now.
worlds,
I mean, we
clearly.
have a yacht, but we can't get a bigger one. So, I mean, we're really living paycheck to paycheck right now.
Yeah, if I had $10,000,
Yes.
I would be more than happy
How
to
is
give some of that
$10?
out to
I can
help
do
someone
$10.
else.
$10 easy. But anywho, yes. So Topanga says you might want to
Anyway.
go check out the section in the classics, the old reliables. And so Shawn,
Things you might be interested
yes,
in.
Shawn goes literally 5 steps away from him. Let's call it in the
Yeah.
section of the room that they normally don't hang out in, by Turner's desk.
Yeah. And I'll say two things before I start the clip. One, we are in the heightened reality of Boy Meets World. As much as we will poke fun at this being Turner's classroom and Shawn is walking a whole 5 steps, I say all that knowing that, yes, in the TV world, the language here is this is an entirely compressed space for a 4:3 ratio TV. And we have to suspend some disbelief where Shawn is far enough away that that Jennifer cannot see or hear what's going on. And two, if Jennifer is not caught on to anything that is happening, she is dumber than a box of rocks.
Or she's just a cat, Brett,
That
playing
could
with
be
her
true.
mouse. And luckily, no dog,
She's thinking about her next
no
swat.
dumb dog has come by and just chomped down on it yet.
All right, so I clipped this conversation in the books.
I was hoping you'd come alone.
Yeah, I tried, but you know who wouldn't hear of it. I think she suspects.
Hey, I understand that she's important to you.
We both knew this would happen eventually.
Getting older,
Meeting girls,
having relationships with those girls,
which means there's less time for
best friends to spend time together.
It's only natural.
Sure, natural. Hey, that Cinnabon was for me, wasn't it?
Cory.
We gotta meet.
But where?
Paris.
That's the first place she'd look.
Well, if not Paris, then where?
Someplace no woman would ever look.
The Three Stooges.
I don't see how that would work, actually.
Well, it's simple. We're just gonna have to find stolen time to sneak off and talk about sports and stuff.
That's no life.
It's all we have left.
Paris.
I will say, in the grand scheme of their conversation, there is truth to it. The friends I had before my wife and I got really serious, before we got married, and especially after having kids, our lives are completely different. And the friendships that helped me get through the seasons of high school and college, I still have so much love for them, but my life no longer revolved around them. And that's okay. That's a natural progression. And I think everyone believes, no matter what, like say like their wedding party, they're like, these are our people, these are our ride or dies. And just eventually you stop calling each other and texting each other all the time. And you still love them, and you still, when you finally get to see them, you're excited. And some people are a lot better at fighting for their friendships to stick around. I think you've done a lot better at that than I have. But at the end of the day, your best friend hopefully transitions to your partner, and you don't miss your old friends as much. I get that this is a heightened reality where Cory and Shawn are only each other's best friends, and there's no room for other best friends.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, this is natural for everyone except for Cory.
Yes. Yeah, it's part of growing up.
Yeah. Now, I don't think Paris is in the cards for two high schoolers.
Unless it's Paris, Texas.
Yes. I'm going to Europe.
Oh, yeah.
We could talk about sports. That's no life.
So they're going to find stolen moments. That's all they have.
Yes.
Jennifer interrupts, and we get that nice moment you talked about where she's looking in the books and Cory is dodging and weaving and getting his face into the spot where she just looked and where she's not looking. I like Shawn's deflect. Shawn is horrible at deflecting and at responding when caught. He does not think fast on his feet here. Yep. I have no idea of any he of who you speak run.
I love how she's like, walk me to French class. Ooh, your shoulders are tense. How about I rub them? I'll sit behind you. He's like, I used to sit behind him. No, you didn't. Every single episode we see you with you, you're beside each other or he's behind you.
Shawn was always the guy in the back of the class.
Yeah. Also, they may have hugged each other, but they've never been seen rubbing each other's backs. That is an intimacy level that most friendships don't get to.
True.
But anywho, we get Brett our second Feeny call.
Yes, we do.
I do love how these first two are just Mr. Feeney? Mr. Feeney!
Yes, we haven't morphed into full-on Feeny call. It's
Nick.
Feeny, Feeny, how, Feeny.
Yes. That's only going to get frustrating later.
But yes, we get another Feeny call.
But he is
Eric
in
wants
the
him to
garden,
read this.
so he's right there.
Yes.
Eric just didn't see him as he walked out there.
Exactly. But he has like a 400-page script for him to read through.
Eric has probably done more work on this play than he ever did on any of his papers at school.
Yes. And he's motivated by money.
But also he has no idea how much time he needs per page.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, in most scripts, typically in a traditional show, you have scripts based on how long the episode should be, roughly. So a page of dialogue should be about a minute, roughly, give or take. I know for a show like Gilmore Girls, it would be like 3 pages is like a minute's worth of dialogue.
Yeah.
But yeah, most shows is like a minute or 2. And so
yeah, Boy Meets World, we're talking 20 to 25 pages of script for a 22-minute
there
episode.
should not be for the, I don't know, I'm guessing he's thinking it's like a 3-hour play for whatever reason. I mean, most good shows of this nature are only going to be 2 hours at most.
Tops.
And you got to be really good
is
for
ideal.
That.
Yeah. You got to be really good to go over that 90-minute mark.
Yeah, and you also have to find a way to make sure it's entertaining enough that people stick around. Which Eric does not do that because he doesn't know what he's doing.
When Eric's writing dialogue like, there I was on the dusty, dirty highway, the hot wind howled like a kind of howling, hot, windy thing.
Yes.
You're not going to keep anyone's interest.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I mean, okay, if we were going to make the Dads Meet World 2-person show, Brett, we could easily start with like just a note that we just throw all of our words on without thinking about it. But then we could go through and be like, oh, wow, that's weird. It came out like this. This is actually what we meant. And then we can kind of edit it from there. But then we'll have to go through and actually like talk it out a little bit, and then we'll realize, oh, this doesn't sound good at all, and then you got to rewrite it. And so the process of getting a show like this going for Eric, it's like a week tops. Maybe he's working on this sucker, but like really it should take,
because he's already secured a venue.
He's already secured a venue.
He's secured a venue and printed tickets, and granted, you and I combined, again, Eric is 18. You and I combined have 4 times the life experience of him.
Oh, we got stuff to talk about, Brett. There's no way around it.
Yeah. But Eric's already secured a venue. Eric's already printed tickets. And he wants Feeney to sell like 100 of them.
Yeah.
He comps Feeney one.
Yeah, comps Feeney one.
Best of luck. And wow.
But yeah, it's that slight frustration. I know it's TV, you got to make the jokes and everything, but like to really actually do something like this, you need time to make it happen. So
yeah, this is definitely in the world of Boy Meets World, heightened reality, suspension of disbelief. Yep. You know, Eric's got some connections.
Yeah. Also, it's really impressive he got 100-seat theater. I mean, normally something like this, like I'll even go towards like one of the Geneva's theater house. Like they only had maybe 50 seats.
Yeah, the Bagpiper was 50, 75 at most.
Like I've sat a couple different, I think we're thinking about the same place, but it's not very big and it's very intimate, but the show is always good regardless of how they have it set. But yeah, those aren't always the most easiest venues to have a good amount of people at.
Yeah, our high school here in town has an auditorium, but they also have a little theater that the fall play takes place in every year, and they might seat 60 in there if I'm doing my math right. Yeah, and I mean they put on full production plays every fall and every winter, and you know they sometimes have a hard time selling out productions that are 2 and 3 shows.
Mhm.
So yeah, Eric filling seats for 100-seat theater for even one show. That's a pipe dream for him.
I do love. He says, "He's like $30 each." Yeah, well, the matinee's $25.50, but between you and me, I pulled back on my performance a bit.
I love how he's worked this all out in his head.
No, I mean it's just that going back to a con, you got to have a good con, and Eric is really trying to make a good con happen. So
Again, he's just in it for
Yeah.
the money. Yep.
Okay, this might be the weirdest, most awkward scene in the whole episode.
Sassy Cory.
Yes. Well, Cory apparently has been slaving away in the kitchen all day. And they're trying to say, "Don't worry, she'll be here soon." And he's like, 6:30 sharp, and it's 7:02. Nowhere to be seen. And Topanga comes in through a pie, and Alan and Amy are all, "Oh, you have no idea how much he loves you. He's been working at this all day," and blah, blah, blah. "See, she's here. Everything is okay." And Cory's still frustrated because there's nothing to do with Topanga because Brett, is just here.
To bring the pie that
Oh my
she
gosh,
made.
that's our next shirt. She's just here.
I'm writing that
I
down.
think the ladies will love it.
There we go. But yeah, and Cory, I have to say, my favorite part of this whole diatribe Cory has is when he takes off the apron and throws it with that extra hip thrust with the hand gesture. It's just, in 1996, that was a very effeminate thing to do that was done specifically for the joke. Today, it's really just whatever it is. But in 1996, that was specifically for the joke. And it rolls right into Cory taking the role of this spurned lover role that he's taking in this conversation with Shawn.
You could easily just say he is just being over the top dramatic. Like his emotions are carrying him, and he has no control over what he is doing at this point.
Yeah. Let him wait.
I do love that they're on the phone with each other.
Mm-hmm.
And I just love how Cory's like, "You're not coming." He's like,
"She found my box of Cinnabon receipts."
"I see."
"I told you to get rid of those."
Oh, I love how Shawn's trying to apologize. "Look, I'm so sorry." He says, "I'm sorry too, but I'm not hurt."
Cory's just insistence on not being hurt is, I mean, it's right in line with that whole spurned lover role. And it's him trying to hide his pain. It really is. It's him overcompensating and trying to hide his pain so that Shawn doesn't know how hurt he is. He's just trying to save face.
They're just going back and forth with each other about how, he's trying to make her happy and him happy, and it's not working, and trying to be a good boyfriend. And I do love, of course, like, "Well, if you're asking if I'm hurt, then no. The answer is no, I am not."
Yep, he just offers that unprovoked.
So yes, but Topanga says, "I have an idea. I think you should meet me at Chubby's for dinner."
Yes.
Says,
Put all this away. Just meet me in Chubby's in an hour.
Also, it's 7:02 right now. Maybe 7:05 technically afterwards. What time does Chubby's close?
Yeah. I figure with Eric's show debuting the same night, we're probably looking at a Friday night. I mean, Shawn was at the tennis courts. Cory was working all day to make a dinner, so we're looking at a Friday. Or
might be an
Saturday.
Act 80 day.
Yeah.
Yes, but we get to what probably is one of the best bits of the whole show, and that is it's pitch black,
Yes.
and all of a sudden you hear baby cry, and sorry,
Yes.
go
Let's.
go ahead,
I
perfect.
have this
Thank
clipped.
you,
Let's
please,
go
please.
right into it.
June 24th, 1978. I am born. Sadat and Begin win the Nobel Prize. John Paul II is elected the new pope. And a new dance craze sweeps the nation. Remember? Remember? "1984, I poo-poo on a bus. Nobody likes me.
John Paul
Yes,
I.
John Paul II.
I poo poo on the bus. Nobody likes me.
Remember?
Remember. I have to say, I love that turtleneck.
I will say, I
also have to say, Eric forgets his
I
own
do have deep
birthday.
doubts about all this, by the way.
I'm
but
sure
yes,
you do.
just the dramaticness of the whole ordeal is just amazing.
I wonder if Eric went to that that one woman's show for research, or if he just assumed.
Well, that's
the
okay. That's what I
tone.
was thinking about. Was did he like maybe go to like a movie store, rent out like a one-person show that was filmed, and just kind of redid what that person
Mhm.
did, or is just going based on what he thinks it should be? Because
Yeah, I could see it going either
I
way
mean, again,
based on
good-looking
this
people.
introduction.
If Brett and I were to do the two-person Dads Meet World, two-person show, maybe we would look into, do you do a two-person show? What have people done before for this? Like you don't. Yeah, you
What's been
don't just
successful?
make it happen. Again, he's 18 years old. Maybe no, not at this point. He should not be 19 because his birthday is in February, because that's when his birthday was earlier last season. Who cares when it is?
Mhm.
But yeah,
Stormy weather.
again, one of the best episodes ever. But yes, but in 1984, he poo-pooed
Yes.
on a bus. Nobody likes him.
Nobody likes him.
But he's like 6. It happens.
Was that a school bus or a public transit bus?
Well, if it was on a school bus, it would have followed him his whole life. I have to imagine it's a public transit.
I would imagine so, because he wouldn't have been as cool in high
Yes.
school.
No,
if it
I
was
don't think it's a
bus.
school bus. That's going mostly as a school bus driver and having, kids for many years.
Kids are rotten.
No.
They wouldn't let him live it down.
No. So they get to Chubby's Brett, and Topanga told him to meet him at the pool table.
Mm-hmm. She's apparently rented out that back room because the curtain's drawn. It's just Cory back there.
Yes.
And Shawn.
Shawn is there looking very preppy-ish. It's a yes.
He just came from the tennis
again,
courts.
coming from last episode where it was all about the Hutus and the Tutsis and how Shawn's from a different class than Cory. Shawn is looking like he's from a class above Cory.
Yes, and Chet accused Verna of
That's
being the
also
social
on the
climber.
heels of all that strikes me as funky. But yes, Cory and Shawn, they air out their differences, Brett, and they give each other a hug because they're so excited to see each other.
Yes, Topanga arranged a really nice
And
rendezvous for
apparently
them.
there's something on Cory's nose, so Shawn goes to help take care of that.
Little
And
chalk from
who
the
should
cue.
walk in, Brett, but Jennifer? Yay.
And I clipped this because it's funny.
Shawn, how could you do this to me?
No. This isn't Cory. This is cake. Well, obviously it's not cake. Not the kind of cake you're used to. But I can explain. No, I can't. How did you know I was here?
No, I can't. He slipped into an accent there. He's so out of it. This is cake.
Not the cake you're used to. How can I explain this? No, I can't.
Everything in this sequence is perfect. It's Jennifer's gasp, Cory's scream, Shawn trying to fumble through this is cake, I can explain. No, I can't. How'd you know I was here?
Yes. She got an anonymous call on her cell phone.
Yes. Big. And this is how we know if the tennis courts were not a big enough tell, this is how we know Jennifer is from a well-off family.
Yes.
She's got a cell phone.
Yes, most high schoolers at this time don't have cell phones. But yes, they wonder who made the call. It was Topanga. And this is the first time we get the dramatic Topanga.
Yes, not the one I was hoping for, but the first one.
Yes, this is the first one. Yes, it was I who made the call.
A very dramatic Topanga.
Yes.
It was I. Hey, you up there. I'm talking to you.
I do love that. She's trying to talk down to her, but the fact is she's looking up at her because
Jennifer is so
height
tall.
difference is so high.
It is such a disparate difference. Kristana is so tall. I mean, she's like 6'3", 6'4", something like that.
Yeah, well, they make it very clear that Shawn is very much attracted to her because of her height and almost overpowering him a little bit.
Yeah.
But yes, she talks down to her theoretically.
Yes.
Theoretically? Metaphorically. Yes.
There you
And basically saying that a girlfriend needs to let her boyfriend be able to have friendships and be able to have a life outside of them. And if they don't, then they're not a good girlfriend. And basically Jennifer responds with, whatever, I'm dumping you.
Which Shawn's okay with because he realizes this time around he doesn't need that relationship. Yeah. He has solid friendships that are more important.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, when Shawn goes through his benders of going through different girls for about 2 weeks, because we do establish next season he has a 2-week rule. It's probably in effect now. Like, he does hang out with the girlfriend, does hang out with Cory and Topanga, both intermixedly and whatnot. But I'm sure he goes through a season where the girlfriend takes priority, but then once they break up, then, it goes back to mostly hang out with Cory and Topanga.
Yeah, I would imagine this might be the genesis of that 2-week rule because, Shawn seeing what happens if it goes beyond 2 weeks where he changes himself. He doesn't like what he becomes. This could be the genesis.
Maybe they dated for 3 weeks.
Maybe.
So, but I mean, I think part of his rule later on too is that once he's done, he's done. He's not going back. And this could be a good indicator of that being the rule to start for him. So,
so this could be the genesis for a lot of personal growth for him.
I do love, Brett, that they go, all right, what do you want to do now? I don't know. See you at school? Yeah, I'll see you at school.
Topanga's reaction is just perfect.
Yeah, all this work I did just to have the two of you be like, all right, bye.
We know we don't have to hide anymore.
Yeah.
I'll see you.
And do you have this next clipping of Eric's show of the Crossroads, Brett?
Why did I expect anybody to come and hear me talk about my life? My life is meaningless. I mean, look at this. My own parents are sleeping through it.
Eric, in the play of your life, All your great scenes lie ahead of you.
So you're saying in like 30 or 40 years, I could write a play that you'd want to come and see?
No, tonight pretty much killed any interest I had in the theater.
Mr. Feeney, you know everything. Where does my life go from here?
Well, now you have passion, you have drive, you certainly have guts. I frankly can't wait to see what happens to you.
So you're not going to tell me to give up my life as an actor and go get a college education?
Eric, I told you to get a college education 10,000 times. I don't have to tell you anymore.
And what about my life as an actor?
Get a college education.
So this part's pretty good.
Yeah, those two are great together.
That wasn't what I was referring to, but that's okay.
Yes, I
No.
didn't have the crossroads part. I
No,
realized.
that's okay. I was gonna say we go back to Crossroads. He gets stuck on this crossroads. The Phoenix says, "Yeah, how you doing?" And Eric goes into, "What was I expecting?" And
Mhm.
everyone's left except for you and my parents. My parents are trying to pass out and sleep, and
Yeah.
um, but I love this interaction between the two of them because
hmm
Feeney's trying to be like, "Listen, I just want better for you."
Yeah.
And what you're doing right now is not better. This acting, quote unquote, you're trying to do right now is not gonna help you.
hmm
But I
Yeah.
will say,
It's
Eric's life does get more interesting, and I think a sh- a one-off show of Eric of who he becomes later on would be quite fascinating.
give him a couple of years, and it would be a very fascinating one-man show.
Hmm. Yeah. So, what do you think about my acting career? Get a college education.
Get a college education. And I really love that Alan and Amy can see the relationship that George and Eric have and what it's growing into.
Hmm.
I love that they get a chance to glimpse that
Right. Well,
because that's not something they normally get to see.
yeah. Well, but the relationship that Eric has with George Feeney is much different than the relationship he had with Mr. Feeney.
Yes, it is.
And getting the chance to be around George and just enjoying their life together and him growing and trying to help him grow as a person is much different than him trying to force him down a lane that Eric just could not see himself in.
hmm
Which is why I think Eric should have became a teacher later on in life, but whatever, that's just me.
Yeah.
But yes, Brett, we cut back to Eric having his shirt once again tucked over his head because he is not born yet, and Feeney looking exhausted.
Yes.
And that's our episode.
Yes, it is. So while I chew on the Cinnabon, how about you share some deep dives with us?
People, people, people. People, people, people. People. Am I the only one who read the summer reading list?
Yes, Minkus, yes, you are. I gotta say that this might have been my favorite one in a while to look up the deep dives for because there's just so much to look into. There are so many references. Like on a really chatty episode, they can really chew into and refer to so many different stuff that I couldn't get to it all, Brett. I just couldn't.
Now, remember, we don't want to put people to sleep with all of our deep dives. We want to keep it to 30 minutes or less.
Sure. Um so
What you got for me?
so we reference pretty early on about nose jobs because
Mhm.
Cory references that apparently she had some work on her nose, aka nose job, aka
Mhm.
the actual correct terminology is a rhinoplasty, and that the nose job did not go well. Um,
Mhm.
apparently, the first nose job was performed. Was written about by John Orlando Rowe, an otolaryngologist. I have no idea. It was the first paper published about rhinoplasty, and it was in Michigan in 1887. I have to send you this article. There's some cool pictures about what people look like before and then afterwards. But yeah. Let me get to this specific thing. So apparently this is reference to ancient Greek, the rhinoplasty. It's commonly referred to as a nose job, medically called nasal reconstruction in plastic surgery. Produces an altering or and reconstructing of the nose. There are two types plastic surgeons use: reconstructive surgery that restores the form and the function of the nose, and cosmetic surgery that changes the appearance of the nose. Reconstruction surgery seeks to resolve nasal injuries caused by various traumas, including blunt or penetrating trauma and trauma caused by blast injuries. Reconstructive surgeries can also treat birth defects, breathing problems, and failed primary rhinoplasties. Rhinoplasties may remove a bump, narrow nostril width, or change the angle between the nose and the mouth, or address injury, birth defects, or other problems that affect breathing, such as deviated nasal I don't know. Sinus conditions. Surgery only on the septum is called a
Deviated septum by chance?
yes, deviated septum. Thank you. Yes. So there are basically, from what I'm looking at, there are very good health reasons to get a nose job, but then there are also just the I don't like the look of my nose. I want it changed. Also, go back to Friends, because there's a big joke about how Rachel once got a nose job, and anytime they go back in time, you see Rachel with a giant nose.
Yes.
So, Brett,
nose jobs were easy fodder, low-hanging fruit jokes in the 90s on sitcoms.
Cory refers to Jennifer as Zathrak, the undead. Now, I don't know if this is the exact reference. However, Zathrak, as I was looking it up, the best example is a ancient black dragon from Dungeons and Dragon. Apparently, there was a specific one: Zathrak, Morwyn, Grizel, Nostril. But Zathrak dwells in the marshes of Malador, a vast swamp that has claimed many adventurers foolish enough to trespass. His scales carry a patina of countless battles, and his eyes gleam with malevolent. Yes, thank you. Intelligence. Zathrak is known for his cruel experiments of capturing travelers seeking to understand and twist the nature of its life itself. His rival with Morith stems from centuries-old conflict over territory and power. So that is the best guess for what
that would
is
be
referred to
pool.
as. Yeah. Now, my assumption is they just needed something that sounded evil and they didn't want to go biblical, because that's quite common for the show to do. But I would like to believe that somewhere these two are Dungeons and Dragons fans, and they don't have enough people to play with, so they can't.
I can buy that.
That's just a small headcanon for us. I A one-person play, Brett, or a solo performance features a single person telling a story for an audience, typically the purpose of entertainment. This type of performance comes many varieties, including autobiographical creations, comedy acts, novel adaptations, vaudeville, poetry, music, and dance. 1996, Rob Becker's Defending the Caveman became the longest running one person play in the history of Broadway theater. Maybe that's why this was coming up at the moment. So, yeah. I mean, I don't have this exact, but this type of performance is something that is goes back centuries. The gesture of the king would have been considered probably a one-person performance, although it wouldn't be dramatic because they would be killed. Blah, 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 blah. So some examples of one-person plays would be one called "I Am My Own Wife." Playwright Doug Wright introduced us to real-life German transsexual Charles von Malasafor? I have no idea. Pulitzer Prize winning play. Interesting. There's also Whoopi Goldberg. She just does a show about herself called Whoopi Goldberg. I will say that this is probably one that would have been really enjoyable whenever it was on Broadway. The Search for Signs of Intelligent Life in the Universe. That would have been Lily Tomlin. And then Elaine Stritch at Liberty. I have no idea who that is. Tell Me on Sunday. Andrew Lloyd Webber. Interesting. Apparently there was one done by John Leguizamo called Freak.
I think I've heard of that one.
Mm-hmm. There are plenty of them out there. Let's say, honestly, I wasn't intending on reading half of them. Once I started, I was like, ooh, I'm probably making a poor choice. Country clubs, Brett. The origins of the country clubs come from Scotland. First appeared in the United States in the early 1880s. Country clubs have a profound effect on expanding suburbanization and is considered to be the precursor to gated community developments. Let's just be honest for a moment. This is a way to allow rich people to be away from common people. There are country clubs that are more localized, but again, the fees that people have to pay, most people can't afford those fees. I know my community has a country club that most people don't play at because they'd rather play at the public place. And even the public place can be expensive. So, history of tennis. It's a racket-based sport. Invented in Benson, I think. Birmingham, England. Direct descendant of what is now denoted real tennis or royal tennis, which continues to be played today as a separate sport with more complex rules, apparently. The first tennis club and tournament was held in the Royal Leamington Spa on August 1st, 1882. Origins, that's what I'm looking for. Apparently, tennis is mentioned in literature as far back as Middle Ages. So it would have been like the 1500s. Shepherds gave 3 gifts, including tennis balls, to the newborn Christ. Okay. Don't know what that's about.
I don't remember that in a Christmas
This.
story.
I don't remember that either, but you know. Apparently, Sir Gawain, Knight of King of the Round Table, played tennis. I don't know. This doesn't sound right, but you know, you get what you get. But the bigger point, Brett, is that tennis is typically mostly played at, say, country clubs. And also there are public tennis courts, but fascinatingly enough, a lot of the public tennis courts are now being converted into pickleball courts, which is now becoming much more
I
popular.
have some friends that are really big into pickleball.
Some famous... Okay, so we're looking at June 24th, 1978. That is when this episode is claiming that Eric is born. Nowhere close to February, which is when we celebrated his last birthday. But who cares? TV show. So some famous people who were born. You got Ariel Pink. American hypnagogic pop and chili wave musician and songwriter. Apparently wrote Before Today. Don't know. I have no idea how to say that person's name. Jean Roman Riquelme, Argentinian footballer. Luis Garcia, Spanish footballer. Pantelis Kafias, a Greek footballer. And I'm really going to mess this one up, but Shunkusi Nakamura, a Japanese footballer. Man, there are some soccer fans that are going to love my butchering of these, I'm assuming most likely famous and important soccer players over the years. I know it's football. Famous death, Robert Sarcox, French writer, apparently. Don't know. It would have been a Saturday. As of right now, it was 45 years, 9 months, 28 days ago. So if Eric was a real person alive today, he'd be 45, apparently. Which is fair.
Very.
Also, he would be a part of Gen X, part of the horse zodiac, and his sign would be Cancer. Top song in America would have been Shadow Dancing by Andy Gibb. No idea what that song is. And, yeah. Nothing about Jean Paul, Francis.
John Paul I.
Okay.
John Paul I might be my favorite part of that just because it is so random.
Mm-hmm. Excuse me. So he mentions about Sadat and Begin winning Nobel Peace Prize. They are the joint winners of the Peace Prize because they were able to negotiate peace between Egypt and Israel. So, for those that don't know, there's a problem in the Middle East, apparently in the 70s. And yeah, apparently these two were the heads of those two countries at the time, and they were able to work together to create peace between Egypt and Israel. And that is why they won the Nobel Peace Prize. I think they solved the problem in the Middle East right there. 45 years it's been solved. Well, I don't know what the conflict is. So, yes.
Good looking people.
Hope John...
The statements of Tyler do not reflect the actual beliefs of the both hosts of this podcast concerning peace in the Middle East.
No, I will say, and I know we don't really get into a lot of our faith talk, but something my pastor said I thought was super interesting. I'll share this here, and that is the Samaritan story. And we have Samaritan laws referring to, who is your neighbor, a Samaritan who is willing to do something for someone that would want them dead otherwise. An Israelite at the time, a Jewish person, Samaritan and the Israelites didn't get along. Thus, is a Samaritan who's doing something for someone in need. That is a neighbor. And he just said, for right now, with everything going on in the Middle East, this would be like if someone from, if a Palestinian helped someone who is Jewish, someone who is an Israelite. And I thought that's an interesting way of putting that, of through the conflict of this war, if those two were able to see each other in that light, how things could be different.
Yeah.
So I thought that was quite fascinating, and I like that he brought that up. We're going through some confirmation stuff, so some real good deep conversation with our teenagers. But something that's also important is John Paul II, or also known as the Second. Yes. So this Pope was born May 18th, 1920, and passed away April 2nd, 2005. Head of the Catholic Church, starting in October 16th, 1978. So, yes, this is around the same time period, but Eric was already born. But Eric wouldn't think that far ahead. Yes, but his papacy, his reign as the Pope of the Catholic Church. You taught me so much.
Hey, I'm not Catholic.
His reign as the head of the Catholic Church ended when he passed away.
Yes.
It's not like the previous popes, as we have had it over the past couple of popes, where they have retired.
Yes.
He, passed away in the gig. So, I can't speak on to what he has done that is of ginormous importance, because I don't understand Catholic history. I really don't. So if there's any Catholic listeners that we have out there, please let us know what he did and, what good came through his time as being head of the Catholic Church, because I'm quite curious.
Yes.
I can take a guess at some of the bad that occurred that we learned over the course of the last couple of years, but, I like to hear good things too. And last but certainly not least, Brett, we have to discuss Remember? So, disco. Eric will be sad to note that disco was around in the late 60s going into the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it at its peak was in the 70s, and that's when, you have a 70s party, it's normally a disco theme party. Um but yes, it was part of the subculture, the night crowd. It was a big deal with catchy beats and electro pianos and synthesizers and electric rhythm guitars. And it really has died out at this point because we have other forms of music that's similar but different. So,
Yep.
also, a big part of it was the disco ball that would go around and all the flashy colors and the whole scene, Brett. Really bright neon, craziness. Um,
Bell-bottom
there's
pants, afros. Yeah.
Yes. So I think what is funny about this is one of the things I heard is that people from the 60s and slash 70s, they went crazy, did a lot of drugs, and now a few years later they were parents and realized they have to say, "Don't do drugs, that's bad for you." But Brett, those are our deep dives for today.
All right. So let's talk about what we learned.
Topanga.
You know anything about the Odyssey?
Huh? Did I say you could talk?
I didn't teach you that.
My friend Mr. Matthews will lead the discussion.
Do I have to draw you a picture?
Tyler, what did you learn from our foray into the world of
I think the biggest thing that I personally learned as a adult is everyone has a story. But what part of your story is worth telling? I joked about the fact that we could do a two-person show and whatnot, but we do have stories to tell, and there's a lot of stuff we can share and put out into the world, but we can't share everything because not everything about our lives is interesting. Eventually, we're just two guys who will turn this off, go sit down, and eventually fall asleep. But we do have stories to tell, and I don't think we've shared a lot through different messages we give over the years. We share a lot on here. We willingly do that because we know that there are people out there who are struggling and hurting and dealing with some of the same stuff that we are. I would have to say that one of my hopes is that if there's a parent out there struggling who's like, maybe I'm not doing this right, maybe they'll end up listening to us and go, well, at least I know I'm not as bad as those two dads. But yeah, just understanding what needs to be told and what doesn't need to be told. And there's a lot of stories out there, Brett.
Yeah, I agree. My learning, I'm going to take from Alan and Amy this episode. Be willing to let your kids fail at something in order to discover something better for themselves. Supporting them along the way. Alan and Amy were right there for Eric's opening night, even though they knew he'd bomb, even though they knew this was not what he is supposed to be doing, not what he's meant to do. But they were willing to let him fail in order to find out that this is not what he's supposed to do and to discover that there is something better out there for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
That's the kind of parent that I strive to be. So I love seeing that. So.
I'm right?
No, you're exactly right.
So am I done with my education? Can I go?
I'm going to let you go first, Brett.
Grading. This one it's so difficult to grade because we've already said this is not one that I love for teaching. I love for the story. It's the dumb humor that does it for me.
Yep.
I'm going to go a B+.
That's fair. I was thinking just straight up a B. Like, because this is not I cannot give this an A plus or anywhere close to an A. Even a B plus, I think, is a little far. But yeah, it's a great episode. It's a good, solid episode. It's not average by any means of the ordinary, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's the dumb humor. It's a fairly middle of the road story for Boy Meets World. That kind of puts it in the B territory. It's the Mr. Feeney and Eric stuff with the Alan and Amy guidance from the fringe at the end that really puts it into that plus territory for me.
Yeah, I agree. I just love how dramatic and the importance of Cory and Shawn being together, but yet at the end, I think everyone remembers this is a good turning moment for Eric.
Yeah.
Yeah,
because before long, we're going to see him trying to study and get into college.
Yeah. But Brett will always remember when I am born.
Oh, yeah. So, Tyler, I would love a dad joke before we call it quits for this week.
Get a college education.
That's not much of a joke. I have one.
All right. I have a couple of friendship-based jokes, Brett.
All right.
Okay. So friends come and go like waves of the oceans, but the true friends stay on you like an octopus on your face.
I like it.
All right. Good friends don't let you do stupid things alone.
Very true.
Yes. I'll do one more. Friends buy you lunch. Best friends eat your lunch.
Also very true. Well, good-looking people, that is it for this week. Thanks for stopping by and listening in. You can check in with us on social media at dadsmeetworld@gmail.com to send us a message. I skipped past our email, our social media profiles. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter /X @dadsmeetworld. Someone just dropped us a message. I noticed today I put up a little TikTok too. I put up a video that was us talking about some poetry in Turner's classroom. And apparently I put it up the same day that Taylor Swift's album came out.
Yes.
And about the Poet Society, and they were drawing a comparison between that and Frankie being the deep poet that he is. So.
Oh, Frankie would fit so well in Taylor Swift's army.
Yeah. You heard it here. Taylor Swift was inspired by Frankie Stakina.
Yeah, she was.
So send us an email about your thoughts, dadsmeetworld@gmail.com. And we would love to hear from you. Love a 5-star review if you think we have earned it. We'll read it on the air. So until next time, Tyler, I will see you good looking.
Back to you, good looking.
You know, how can I learn so much every week and still be so stupid? I want to be normal, Spud. Topanga.
Dads Meet World is a production of Headfirst Studios. Headfirst Studios. Tell your story.